Hi, this will be a quick overview of the Nanomolecular Synthesizer plugin available at Unreal Marketplace. So after you have installed the plugin, you will find an example level that will look exactly like this, and in front of us we are looking at a box that appears to be a very simple, but it is actually quite very complex object with hundreds of details. So initially it will be in the power update, and the only place where you can interact is on these three switches. So you can see nothing happens, it's just the screen switched on, and when we flip the middle switch, suddenly the computer starts on. In this moment we can decide to switch off lighting, switch off the screen, you can switch off the computer again, you can just play in any combination you want. When we enter the widget, there is example for the items. However, this is fully customizable, because when you exit, there will be on the left hand side just a loading image. That means you can adjust the widget to, for example, divide by weapon type, divide by item type. It's entirely up to you how you plan to use this in the game. I will show some examples and ideas. So this widget is very simple. You can use either previous or next button, or you can use the left hand side menu. For example of the rifle, I have included just a very short timer. So now you will get the handle animation. You can still go in and change to something else. For example, we will start with the rifle, and now suddenly the interaction for the handle is available. You could still switch off the screen. Some synthesis time. And now the synthesis is completed. So when you press the handle, so there are some example of the basic VFX. I haven't done them, they are from the Epic, and you will be able to collect the item and it will switch off. So let's try, for example, the hammer. And now the idea of this system is that this system will work even when you go to another level, or for example, if you go out of this room, you would pass the doors and all this expensive rendering would disappear. So let's say we now remember we are at roughly 2056. And here around the corner we will just teleport to another empty level. We wait for a few seconds and we go now back, and if we check the timer, as you can see, it's exactly matching the seconds we have been in another level. Now, of course, for the testing we have also an overlap here, so we can fast forward the timer. Just please note, when you use this fast forward timer, the handle animals will not load correctly, because we are async loading them roughly 6 seconds before the timer goes off. Let's have a look on the hammer. So this whole asset was designed in a smart way. A lot of thought process went into it. The skeletal mesh only has 41,000 triangles. When we come to the level, you can see the expensive rendering parts are using nanite. They are just attached to the sockets on the skeletal mesh, and on the inside we have truly insane amount of triangles. When we look on the static meshes or skeletal mesh, there are many materials, so you can really play with it. It's not optimized, and I know a lot of people will be shouting, oh, so many draw calls. Yes, but it's totally okay because this asset is not designed to be used during the combat with hundreds of AIs and all the VFX going off. This can be like nicely hidden in any other room. As you can see, with the materials loaded, we get around 50 mesh draw calls. So now we have initiated the synthesis and we are around 45 draw calls. And now suddenly when we open it, and only when we open it, the inside bits with all the movable lights components and everything else, the millions of triangles will pop up in the screen. And we are still doing quite okay because Unreal Engine will optimize quite well. So when we compare on an empty level, we still get few draw calls. When we come to this monstrosity of triangles and movable lights, so as we can see, we are looking on millions of triangles and we have 15 movable lights, which is a bit of overkill, but I want to showcase it. And let's ask the real question: how will this perform in a shipping build? How many FPS will be there? So I have packaged it 6 times to show you the results of the test. Ultra expensive was with 38 FPS. So these settings I'm not changing, and I was just changing the software ray tracing mode. So the poorest results were with detail tracing and with the path tracing on. That only gave me 38 FPS. The winner is definitely using the race trace shadows with engine scalability too high and just the global tracing. And you can see my other settings as I have them. So you can create your own starting point for your tests. So this is the most expensive with all the fancy stuff enabled, and as you can see, it's way too expensive. Obviously, I'm not the pro guy to make the best scene. This wasn't the idea of this test, and I'm just passing you some sort of starting point. This is mainly about the code and the framework. So now we are looking on the package project, which is my favorite, and this is what I will be using because its raycast shadows are on and everything else is really to the minimum. That means the directional light is kind of ray trace shadows are off, but as you can see, even in the most expensive parts I was around 60 FPS, but now I'm recording through OBS Studio, so that's the 10 FPS lower there. But as you can see on this edge I have a nice shadows and there is no jittering around the screen shadows. The handle shadows are perfect. So this is my recommended settings. So now the moment we switched off these ray trace shadows, we will gain some FPS, but even if we switch on everything else to better, the quality will be really bad. These are the no ray trace shadows, and look how jittery is the edge of the screen. So when you look on the shadow on the handle, very jittery. And now when you look on this edge, it's really bad. You could get maybe somewhere around 8 to 10 frames of performance, but as you can see, the shadows looks very different. The effects are all very different. I think this is a perfect moment to decide for your own project what will be your target and whether you will be using the ray trace shadows. I'm not sure how it works to dynamically turn it on or off during the runtime. Hopefully that will be possible to switch it off during intense combat with other AI. Even the best case scenario on the close-ups, it's way inferior to the settings that I have recommended earlier. So now also talking some statistics. As you can see, the main NMS actor is a very complex object, and in the C++ class there are around 1500 lines in the .h file and almost 3500 lines in the .cpp file. I'm not saying you can't do it in less. That's how I have done it, to have everything covered and to have everything comfortable as it should be. This lighting, I am no specialist on the new UE5 lighting, but I have been experimenting a lot, and even with the certain materials roughness, it can make drastic changes inside. So that was also one of the reasons why I haven't baked it into one material or one textures, because I feel with this kind of approach you can add your own decals and you can do your customizations, so when we are using it in different games it's not gonna look the same. So this whole system is designed to be blueprint friendly. For the C++ guys, you can use this code in the player controller and with the example pickups as a template or a guideline to assist you to transfer it into your game. Here you have attenuations. All the sounds are called either through audio comp in the BP NMS or through the play at location, but they are all using the same attenuation settings, so feel free to adjust it to your needs. When you look on the blueprint part, it's all well commented, equally well commented in the C++ code, and when you look on the amount of stuff, just scroll down to NMS prefix, and for example when we look on the NMS actor we can see all the functions that are exposed to blueprints, and it's quite a bit to go through. I don't want to confuse you, but if you study how it was done, I'm sure you will start to understand how to make the changes quite fast. In case of any issues, just add me on the Discord and I can assist you. Whatever blueprint class you will open, always look for something called settings. That's the important stuff, and if you hover your mouse cursor on it, it will tell you some hint what you are actually changing. Just be careful, don't do too many changes at once. So as you can see, there are many variables like materials and sounds and textures and VFX, but they are all soft references. So they are not going to be lingering in the memory when you don't need them. Let's say you are then flying a spaceship, you don't really need all of this stuff in the memory. So that's the really best part about it. And yeah, we have some materials that we had to assign to the static meshes, skeletal meshes. They will be always hard references. But when you come to these collapse nodes, you can see a lot of pink or purple lines, that means it's all soft reference. It's the correct way of doing things and only loading it to memory when it's needed. I hope, guys, this explains clearly what is this plugin about, and thank you for watching this video, thank you for your support, and I hope to see you in the next videos.